I don't care if Steven Spielberg directed the movie. I don't care if Steven Spielberg directed it. It's a chick flick disguised as a sword and sorcery picture. The only genre film with less balls is probably freaking Legend. I mean, anyone who actually enjoys Ladyhawke is a bona fide USDA grade A choice PUSSEYIES. Anyone who enjoys Ladyhawke, anyone. I don't care if Steven Spielberg directed that film. It sucks. Ladyhawke sucks. I don't know anyone who would like that film. Why would you even want to promote anything about Ladyhawke? I mean, you'd have to be stupid. Anyway, part of what I was saying, part of what that little bit I was saying, directly from the book Ready Player One. The huge 2011 hit by Ernest Cline that was all about 1980s nostalgia, including stuff like Ladyhawke. I mean, this guy, Ernest Cline, he bags on everything. I mean, he celebrates the 80s, trashes the 80s, everything, and it's great. I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today, I'm going to review Ready Player One because I just reread it in anticipation of Ready Player Two, which just came out this week. And I'll be reading this one. I'm actually like 100 pages into this, and I'll leave a review soon. And we also know that Ernest Cline also wrote Armada. One of the things, this was a gift given to me. This book was given to me in 2012 by a very good friend. I didn't know much about it. I'd heard of it, but she loved it and said I would love it. So she gave this to me as a birthday gift, 2012. When anytime anyone gives me a birthday gift, that is a book. If it's a book that they're giving me, birthday, Christmas, or just whatever, I always have them write me a note inside of the book. And I suggest you guys do the same. So there's a lot of books in my collection that have been given to me, and I have my friends write down the note. And so, here is the note that my friend Allison wrote for me in. And so the book means all that much more because it was recommended by someone who I really, really, really dig, like. It says, thank you so much for being a great friend to me this past year. Hope you enjoy this book. I read it in one day. Love, Allison. So there we go. Anytime you get a book and it's a gift, make sure your friend signs it to you. There's a little helpful hint. Let's get to the book. 2011 it came out. Man, this book is rocking. This book, I got to tell you something, folks. This book, my friend Allison was right. She read it in a day. I read it in a day. This book is rocking like docking. This book is rocking like docking. Another quote from the book. And if you don't know what docking is, well, docking was a hair band in the 80s. And they were rocking. And this book is rocking like docking. Here's the thing. What's this about even? Hey, everybody knows. Everybody's read this. If you're watching this review, I know damn well you've read it. I know everybody's read this book. Or if you haven't read the book, you've seen the movie. I don't care. Steven Spielberg did direct it. You know what this reminded me of? Tad Williams' Otherland. This is a much more lighthearted version of Tad Williams' Otherland. If you've read Tad Williams' Otherland, it's like a virtual reality where kids go into the virtual reality and they have to solve mysteries and puzzles and all that. This is what Ready Player One is. It's set in 2044. Our main guy, Wade Watts, he's a kid It's like kind of like a dystopian future. Everything is garbage, except that people still can get on the internet and have fun and play virtual reality games, which is what happens. And our main guy, Wade Watts, I don't know why I call him Ted Watts. Ted Watts was a cornerback for the Oakland Raiders back in the 1980s. That's why I keep saying Ted Watts. He was actually a pretty good cornerback. You know, the Raiders in the 80s won a lot of Super Bowls. This book is about the 80s. You know, so I don't feel bad about talking about the Oakland Raiders and Ted Watts. But our main man, Wade Watts, the guy on the Raiders was Ted Watts. The main character of this book is Wade Watts. He's a kid. He's in this virtual reality, and he plays these games in virtual reality. He likes to solve these puzzles in his virtual reality video games. And one of the main big guys that kind of like the Bill Gates of the video game, like the Jeff Bezos of the video game realm, is this guy named Halliday. And he creates a massive puzzle for people to solve in the virtual reality. And if they do solve it, they win cash and prizes and power. And so everybody is trying to solve these puzzles. Well, Mr. Halliday was a huge fan of everything about the 1980s, so all of his puzzles that he puts in virtual reality are based off of video games, cartoons, movies, books, video cassettes, rock and roll music, clothing, toys, news programs, sports teams, everything about the 1980s. And it's bloody good fun. I mean, this was such a unique book. When it came out in 2011, such a unique book and it's filled everybody with such a 1980s nostalgia, like Tad Williams' Otherland, which I'm going to tell you right now. I like Tad Williams' Otherland better than Ready Player One. But that doesn't mean that Ready Player One isn't just freaking awesome in its own right. I think Tad Williams' virtual reality puzzles and his adventures are a lot more detailed, much more high stakes. This, that, and the other. If you've read them, you know what I'm talking about. Ready Player One is a lot more lighthearted, a lot more kid-friendly. There's some swearing and stuff. Anyway, Ready Player One, our main guy, Wade Watts, he goes into this virtual reality because Mr. Halliday has set up a game for people to solve. So everybody in the world in this virtual reality game is trying to solve it. I mean, they spend their entire lives in this virtual reality trying to solve these games and puzzles, and they're based upon 1980s nostalgia stuff. And so you can, like, let's say for one of the puzzles in the movie, and this was one of the best parts of the movie, and the movie was, by the way, directed by Steven Spielberg. Lady Hawk was directed by Richard Donner. Lady Hawk, starring Matthew Broderick and Michelle Pfeiffer, was directed by Richard Donner. And Lady Hawk is mentioned in the book because it's an 80s movie and everything sort of gets kind of picked on. I mean, the Ewoks get picked on, Peter Gabriel, Pac-Man, War Games, Blade Runner, Kurt Vonnegut. There's 100 to 2,000 just references to the 80s nostalgia in this book. I can't list all of them in this video, but you get the point. All of these, the puzzle that Wade Watts and everybody else in the world is trying to solve is in a virtual reality, and it's puzzles based off of books, music, video games, and movies set in the 1980s. So in the movie version of Ready Player One, you know, some of the best scenes, because let's be honest, folks, the movie wasn't that great. The movie was directed by Steven Spielberg, and I don't care if it was directed by him or not. I didn't care for it. It didn't do the book justice, not one iota. But some of the great scenes in the movie were, you know, when our characters have to go into the movie, they have to actually, in the movie, our characters' virtual reality selves have to step into the movie, The Shining by Stephen King, and figure out clues within that movie as they're walking through the movie set with the actors and whatever that's happening. And these are the type of puzzles we have to solve. In the book, the movie War Games, starring Matthew Broderick, is heavily, heavily featured in the book. Just so cleverly so. Just so cleverly so. And I'm really upset that the movie just kicked that aside. But anyway, a lot of the puzzles are in the War Games, are taken from the War Games movie. They're taken from video games, taken from there. When I read this the first time, 2011, man, I gobbled it up. It was so damn good, so dang awesome, so freaking awesome. Just a once-in-a-lifetime book that comes along, and it's just got a unique premise, a unique setup, a great writer, a great story, stuff that you love, stuff that keeps you hooked. Fantastic. Now we've got Ready Player 2, and should it have been a one-off, or is there enough of this sort of thing for a sequel? Because ever since this has come out, we've got 1980s nostalgia stuff just crammed in our face all the time, like Stranger Things, and I could just keep going on. So is book 2 necessary? And I'm about 100 pages into it. I'm going to be leaving my review. Like I said, I love this. I love this book. Ready Player One. That's the one we're reviewing. Armada here did not receive quite the reception as Ready Player One. Ready Player One, man, it's a once-in-a-lifetime, out-of-the-ballpark home run. Everybody that I recommend it to loves it, just loves it. I loved it. I absolutely adored it. Just this book alone, if you haven't read it yet, and I imagine there's probably maybe 1 out of every 100 people that are watching this video that have not read it or seen the movie, read it. It's a good book. You'll love it. It'll keep you engaged, keep you interested. It will delight you. I give Ready Player One itself a 9.5 out of 10. It was that good.